What's up, Dag? It's your boy. It's your main enemy. Either way, welcome to the Real Nigga Podcast, Dag. And I'm happy to have you in my presence and grace you with the gift of another one, Dag. Now, it ain't no news going on in XTV except for the fact that, XTV World has finally uploaded the event XTV03, which I recommend everybody to go and check out. It's the last event where Killer performed. You know, he will return in 3 months after serving his time. Your boy 90 was a part of this event. Tim Money was a part of it. You know what I mean? And the matches include Killer and B-Boy, Iron Man match, 60 minutes. There's also Hank taking on Bill Goldberg, motherfucking Dixie and Tia Ray. I think I talked about that before. That was like the match of the fucking evening. You know what I'm saying? Hobson, the rapper Hobson, taking on Tavari Howard in the funniest match of the night. And the last match, I just want to, put this out there, Dag. Everybody know 90 is unapologetic and completely real. You know what I'm saying? Which is why this podcast is the aptly named Real Nigga Podcast. I don't know who said it, but somebody, I think it was James. Yeah, it was James. He made the statement. He was like, Yosi, you already lost twice. It's just like when Trunks had lost twice and he fought Pain a third time. Like, you already lost twice. It ain't even no point, you know what I'm saying, to fight somebody a third time when you lost twice. You know, that's just your ego telling you to go in there and embarrass yourself. You know, and that ain't me dissing my sister. I hope Yosi don't take that as no diss, but it's just I just slightly I forget. I agree, Dag. I agree. I'm sorry, Dag. I agree, Dag. All right. It's just damn. That's what I was thinking going in. I didn't say it. So I didn't want to offend her. I didn't want to affect her. That's my baby sister. Love her. Will always love her. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I was hesitant to saying what I had to say, because I don't want to damage no relationship with somebody I truly love. You know what I'm saying? Through whatever weather or whatever differences we have. It's just, I just kind of seen it coming. You know what I'm saying? When she was defeated the first time, it was a shock. When she was defeated the second time, it was like, damn, Yosi, And, I think around the second time is when Ada got beat by her too. And it's just one of those things where I'm not saying don't try nothing like that. But like at the end of the day, if you lost twice to her already, Dag, you know what I'm saying? It's just fuck it. You know what I mean? Whatever, Not saying you can't beat her, but just like, I feel like she should have took a little bit more time, you know what I'm saying? And instead of just come back to her immediately a third time, like, cause they fought at the Halloween event, right? Or some other shit. Like, I think they was, didn't she fight Nikki at like one pay-per-view and then this one? Like, I don't know. I just feel like she should have took more time to train, you know what I'm saying? Watch the old matches, see where she slipped up, you know what I mean? And learn from the failure of the footage, you know what I'm saying? On how to win this time, cause not that she didn't compete great, she didn't get squashed, nothing like that. She just lost. And, it's just one of them things where, don't fight her no fourth time, Dag. That's all your brother's saying. And I'm pretty sure this shit gonna get misconstrued and we ain't gonna be talking at whatever, family event we have coming up, and she gonna be looking at me across the table like she gonna cut my dick off. But Yosi, your brother real, Now, like I said, that's a great event. I recommend everybody to go to XTV World. That's XTV and, Space World on YouTube.com. It's a great event. We had fun, man, and I'm pretty sure you guys will hear that as evident Shout out to J&W who posted a few comments on there. Killer, of course, getting heat. He trying his whole face turn thing. He's trying to be a face again. People don't remember, but it was brief. Killer was a face at one point. Bobby even mentioned it. We got it on recording. You know what I'm saying? Like, Killer was a good dude. But it's impossible. When your heel run was this, dark, and everybody gonna talk about how much they don't like you. Like, nigga, it's just gonna take time. But on to the podcast. Tonight's special guest is a guest that's been here for a very long time, making me feel old. She's been through thick and thin, dying and living. Literally, niggas, we gonna get to it. She's raised both trunks in pain, and she's been through it all, and we gonna talk about it here on the Real Nigga Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Joe. Oh, thank you for having me here, 90. It is truly a blessing just being in your presence. I remember back in 2008, 2008, you were doing, one of your classic episodes of 90% that, it's played every holiday, the one where you're, I guess it's the episode where you rob a house, Oh yeah, legendary. Yeah, it's one of the top, what is it, top 10 XTV? I think that's a top 5 classic, you know what I'm saying? Got me a lot of attention. Now, Monster's in there. I'm trying to look for Monster, well, where the hell is Corey? I'm like, Corey. And, I go upstairs, I go downstairs, I'm like, where is this boy? And of course, I had a feeling he was in the XTV studio, and I see you, and I'm just seeing you blow this guy's head off, threaten people. Sorry, it's just the oddest thing. What is he doing? And I never got a chance to even talk to you or meet you, but that was my introduction. You shooting someone's head off in my presence. 90, nice to meet you. Yeah, dag, that's just the type of atmosphere that my show created. You know what I mean? Like, what you didn't see prior to that. There was a dude, size of me, in your culture, you call that fucking with people. Excuse me? Nothing. Basically, some nigga was fucking with me, you know what I'm saying? He was trying to disrespect, my G, and disrespect who I am, I wasn't gonna have that. I tried to put hands up. He put guns up. I put bigger guns up. And he got put down. So he didn't put nothing else up. Now he down in heaven. Hell, sorry. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is, Ms. Joe. I'm sorry you had to see that. It's just the darndest thing. Because me and Monster, we talked, we read books, you know what I mean? I remember I used to read him The Great Gatsby. I used to read books like that to him, before we went to bed. We used to do a little bedtime story things. And he used to read me Thomas the Train. Used to just sit there, he just read like little kindergartner, because you remember his mentality at the time. He used to just read me Thomas the Train, The Cat in the Hat, and it was just so adorable. But then here we are, late 2008, and I see your shows on television, and I'm like, when did you get into this? Like, you jumped from Thomas the Train to this violence. The hell is going on, Yeah, dang. And I mean, are you amazed at Monster? I mean, he's grown so much. He just recently won Recording of the Year last year. You know what I'm saying? He's doing big moves. I'm completely amazed. What I see with Corey is a very vulnerable man now. He's able to admit his mistakes, admit his faults. And this is something I thought I would never see. I know you should never say things like that or think thoughts like that. But I was at that point, at one point in time, I thought that Corey would never, ever get out of this bubble of where he was. He was just always just stuck, oh, I'm a monster. And that's just how he is. That's how he's always going to be. But obviously something must have changed him. Some people say it was me, and when I did the F Virgins thing, that's what it was for. It was to change people. You know what I mean? People sometimes need that extra thing to affect them. And we're going to get into that conversation, of course. But that in it of itself, I knew was going to change him. And it changed him for the good. You know what I mean? He's winning, awards and all these different things. He's the commissioner. Exactly. I was going to jump on that, He's the commissioner of XTV. So, you see what some of my work has done. I'm not going to say it was all me. I'm not braggadocious like that. But I've had something to do with it. Some of the things people wouldn't show him, I showed him. And, he got to choose, like, do I want this? Why do I want this? And I remember those moments so well, even at my older age, and things I'll never forget. I hold near and dear to my heart. I don't regret anything. Now, starting, you want to talk about your XTV career or life prior? I'll talk about anything you like. Well, life prior, I think you talked about it on the Joe Show podcast. Said you grew up, pretty well. Yeah, just a normal life, you know what I mean? And I met Joe, Steel Mill Company, Southern, not Southern, but like, just kind of hickish. And, we hit it off immediately. And we never want to talk about what happened with our kids. We're just blessed to have the grandkids we do have. And, just to jump into the XTV world of things, I remember when he was just taking them around town, and I truly think that Joe was inspired by the Jackson 5 movie. We had watched it at the time, and, Joe Jackson's like, yeah, that's who I am. I'm Joe Jackson. That's just how he was. And, he's just like, I'm just like him. And that one part where they're arguing, and he's like, I got a vision. That one part I could tell struck Joe, because he looked at D-Matic, he looked at Payne, and he looked at how they made him laugh. He would talk to me nights in, nights out, nights and days, just saying how they are really funny. When they get to arguing or, nitpicking on little things they're doing, they're really funny, and he said he brought his friends around. They laugh at them when Payne and D-Matic had their little arguments, and, that can be something, you know what I mean? So I remember him just kind of taking them on the road and, trying different things. And I remember the first show, he said they didn't do good because they had stage fright, and they were just terrified. They were just trying to do whatever it is they tried to do, but Joe just had more so of a vision. He didn't really know what to do with the vision, so he put them on stage, and just told them to just do what y'all be doing in the living room. You know what I mean? And they're like, when something's natural to a kid, they're going to do it when they feel like doing it. They're not going to do it when you tell them to do it. So he just kind of put them on stage in front of an audience, and of course they froze. They're children. They don't know what they're doing, And I'm sorry, Miss Joe, but from my understanding, I thought that they first show they was getting cheered for, I don't know. I remember him. I just remember one of those days. Maybe it was the second show, but I remember one of those nights, him coming home, being upset with both of them. And I had to talk to him, Joe, they're just children. They are just kids, And he's like, they want to sit there on stage frightened. D-Matic gonna piss himself. And he's all angry. And I'm like, they're kids, they were afraid. Maybe next time, And that's just how it was, So you supported this vision. Of course, I supported it at first. But it was happening so fast, and everything was happening way too fast with them. And they got success, and it was just a ride that I wasn't really expecting. I was just hoping the best. And that's truly what was in my heart, hoping the best for every single body. involved. And, I already talked about it on the Joe Show podcast when Gambling Kong and them came in. Part of me just knew, like, they're up to no good. Greedy people, greed exists in everybody. Greed is not a race. Greed is not a person. Greed is a personality that comes in from many different walks of life. You know what I mean? It comes from people that have been abused, that have never been abused, it just comes. It's like a disease that just, boom, it splashes on you. And, when you see someone doing well that you don't even know, you're going to try to get to know a little of them to get all of what they have and reap the benefits off of the sweats on their back. You know what I mean? And that's what they were, Gambling Kong and Candy Kong, when they came in. They to me provided not a whole lot. And Joe was just letting them in, left and right. It didn't matter if he didn't see them 10 Thanksgivings ago or whenever. He would just let them in, like, oh, come on in, then, got to spread the wealth. And he already talked about his upbringing and how, if you have just the smallest thing, give back, because, when it's their time, when it's your time to fall on hard times, your family's going to give back. And I didn't see it that way. It's like some family aren't really family. They're just people that just randomly appeared. So you saying before the whole shit got popped off, with Donkey Kong, these family members was nowhere? Not really. I mean, we would see them in passing, wave. Sometimes they'll give you this crazy look because Gambling Kong, 90, he was a hustler. Much like me. Hustle on, homie. That's it. He used to just be doing things like, he used to always have these ideas of lucrative businesses, and he used to just think that he was the best. I remember he had a pizza shop, that was doing well in the neighborhood, and he just wouldn't even lend $1 to us, when we would fall on any kind of hard times. When our kids passed, he was nowhere to be found. And, at this point, this is when he had his own gambling show, that's nobody remembers, and that's not no fault of him. It's just how karma is. It's like, you got your own gambling show. Nobody remembers it. Nobody's really watching it. But since you're making money, you feel like you're at this high life, and you're not, and he just wouldn't even, at this point, when he got the gambling show, he wouldn't even look at us. When we would pass, those waves would be, not at all. So that's why when he came in during the Donkey Kong 2 era, it was like, Joe, do you know who you're dealing with? And I know I'm dealing with, woman, this family. You and he used to say racial things. You white, you don't know about this. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what? And this is when Joe was starting to get the silver spoon in his mouth, And we weren't really having marital problems. We just tried to make it work for as long as we can, and it worked for a long time. Exactly. I mean, because when did y'all get married? I want to say 1981. It was 1981, so we stayed from 81 all the way to 2007. Damn, Dad. And that's just cause I believed in it. It didn't matter what venture Joe was getting into. I was supportive. I was that woman. I was his rock, through sickness and death. And I believed in all those vows when we looked in each other's eyes and we married. And through the times, he was putting all kind of toxins in his body, smoking crack and all these other different things Joe would do. It was nasty and it was horrifying to see, but I stuck through it, and I expected him to do the same, but we're going to get into it. Oh shit, Dak. It's shoot time. She bought the bucket. Put them shots in. I know I ain't did it in a long time. Yeah, there you go. Put them shits in. Yeah, I like that shit. Shoot him too. Thanks. But so you're finally involved with Donkey Kong, during the Donkey Kong 2 days. How was that? this was great, because I guess Joe got tired of my concerns, of Gambling Kong and Candy Kong. I guess he got tired of it, and so he was like, you don't see what's happening because you're not involved. And so that's what it was. It was to get me involved, and me, Dixie, and everybody, like, we contributed to try to make it a whole family thing, and that's what it was supposed to be, a family dynasty. We were supposed to be, people were going to remember the Kongs, and that's why even some of the things we did, like, even though no one remembers the Kong Family album, it opened up with Dee Dee and Dixie, Two More Bananas, and then they did Here Comes the Dude, and it was a song called I'm Sorry Miss Johnson, I think. That this is way in 2000, yeah, but we did this compilation of like music, and Miss Johnson was a school teacher at Memorial Middle School. Give me a second. Teat. These podcasts do it to you. They really do, 90. But there was this teacher, named Miss Johnson, and she was trying to teach us computer. This was our first computer class. It had to be 6th grade, and we had a song called I'm Sorry Miss Johnson. I never meant to go to games and not play Mavis Beacon. It's so stupid, but Mavis Beacon was basically some type of typing program. Mavis Beacon teaches typing. Say that 3 times fast. But that was the thing that we did. And sometimes kids wouldn't even listen to what the teacher was saying, and when she wasn't looking, they'll go to games, and if the teacher, Miss Johnson, would catch them going to games and not the Mavis Beacon program, they'll get in trouble. So we decided to make a song called Miss Johnson, and I never meant to go to games, because Outkast had a song Miss Jackson out at the time, I'm sorry Miss Jackson. And oh gosh, such a tat. That right there hurt. But you mentioned that y'all wanted the Kong family to be like a family dynasty, and it makes sense, what I'm saying, because like you said, that compilation album, and then I remember also y'all had the Kong family show that was going on in 2000, exactly, because even though what people remember out of the Donkey Kong series is just D-Matic and Pain, it's so much more to it. It is Candy Kong. It is me. Even though we have minor roles, Kula Kong, even though we all had minor roles within the show, we were all part of it, a part of it. And that's what was supposed to make it special. It was supposed to stand out from everything. But, just it seems like as time wears on, we only remember D-Matic and Pain and Grandpa Joe being on that show, but we don't remember every single thing. And that's just what the Ellicott days were. I'm sure if we still had recordings of stuff that happened back then and had it now, I think the perception would be different. But this year and at this point in life, it's like a lot of that's become forgotten, a whole lot of that. But I was there, and finally being on that show was great, because like I said, I was up close and personal, and it seems like I was already iffy about Gambling Kong, when Joe let him in, but now even more so, as I was getting more of a closer look at some of the little things he would do. I just didn't like his tactics. Well, damn, what did he do? Because you shooting on this nigga. This nigga probably gonna need to be on the podcast. What he did? Well, he would just, I need a new payment for my car, man, and he just had all these, he was just always just making up little things like that just didn't really make sense. He'll be like, oh, I gotta make a new payment for my new car that I don't have because I still haven't bought it yet. And Joe would just be throwing money at him. It's like, oh, here you go. And I'm like, that makes no sense, and it just would be basically like little crackhead shit. Well, you said it. You know what I mean? Damn. It just little things like, that doesn't make sense, but you're going to do it because he's family. And it goes from just doing it because you this is your family member and you love them, to you're just doing it just to do it now. This doesn't make sense, and this is going to cost us, in the long run. And I think that's what was happening, though, because Joe is the blues. He's been down so long that getting up there and eating crawhead mine, you too white to do that, Dag. I just want to point that out. You're right. But anyway, he was down, you know what I mean? The steel mill job and just that whole working really hard type of person, that labor worker, all of a sudden hits the jackpot, and he has all this money available to him. And, the family that he did see on his road to struggling, he's going to do his best to help them out. So they're no longer struggling no more. Their kids are no longer struggling. That is the story of what was going on with Joe. So it's like, here, you have money. I got enough for everybody. I got more for me. And you're thinking at that time, with all this money, that's going to last you forever, and you don't have to worry about it no more, until finally it's the game of Monopoly. You know what I mean? And it's like, you can't be a millionaire forever. You can't just sit on money and do nothing with it. You have to put money in things to add on to the money you have for the future, instead of just keep giving it out like it's going to keep returning. It's not going to keep returning. You're just throwing it away, and I think that's what happened overall with all of us, and Trunks and Pain, wow. I mean, it's just weird because when I look at our whole family dynasty, it seems like Pain was just throwing his money out on drugs, and getting high. And then Trunks, to me, I don't want to say he got lucky. I don't want to say that. But if he didn't have F&K, I wonder what his career would have been like. You know what I mean? I wonder what would have happened. Because as soon as he went to F&K, he made way more money than us, and it lasted longer. And Dixie, she did her thing with the heavy metal scene and all the stuff she's done, and she stayed relevant. But us, myself, Grandpa Joe at that time, and Pain, we were falling. You know what I mean? Pain only had so much more money left. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. And that's just what it was, Wow. So Donkey Kong 2 is the biggest show, man. I mean, y'all are on, dog. I feel like this is the period where the Super Nintendo period, XTV Westside, was just on a whole nother level, and of course the N64 gets brought in, but you guys stay relevant. Miss Joe, what is it that you think made the 2000 season of Donkey Kong 2 more memorable to XTV West? The overall feel of it, it was an amazing time, and it was such a short time. 2000 is one of those years that just is so strange to us. Like, even just doing all the things, because even after 2000 ended, I remember we were just thinking, damn, did I really live that? Because it was just so good, and we've had great years before prior to 2000, but 2000 was so good that it was like, dude, this was incredible. And we just was always wondering, will there ever be a way where, okay, I can't live that life again, but can I get some of the contents, like all of the wrestling I seen from that year, or all of the whatever, that happened that year that I lived through. And it isn't until 2017 where we were able to download all the RAWs from 2000, every single one. I think we did this before, but the external got messed up. And even just sitting there watching the episodes, it's like, it doesn't even come close to, us going back. Like, we can't tell you what it was, I mean, I just think of things like Mad TV, WWF Raw, South Park, You know, and I'm sorry, I know you asked me a question. I'm going on a whole nother thing, but that's just what 2000 was. It was an amazing time, you know. And sometimes, because I talked about this last year, 2000 and 2001, I did a, review on that. And I just knew 2000 was just too good. It's like nothing's going to top this. Like I didn't say that, but I was like, nothing. I didn't see nothing topping that though. I was just thinking to myself, like, how can something be better than this? And, basically, I think why it's remembered, Donkey Kong 2, is because of the music. We didn't rely on the video game music. We instead played, what was on the radio. And at the time, it was Outkast, it was Shaggy, it wasn't me, and stuff like that. Like, that's what was the soundtrack to the visuals being presented. And, I think we stood out from the rest of the competition that was kind of staying the same. You know what I mean? Like ODD, his show, although it was good, it was like, it wasn't doing what we were doing. And the chemistry Pain and Dixie had was just amazing, and I think when you have all those different elements of us being different and not even trying to do things that are just naturally happening, that's going to stand out and stand the test of time, as opposed to something that's just staying the same. And that's why it worked. When it came back as Crack Rock, of course it's not going to work, because we're trying to do all these things, putting things on a show that wasn't there. You know what I mean? That's what Crack Rock was. It's like, oh, let's put this HD thing here. Let's turn this way up. It wasn't like that when we did it. Why are we doing it now? It takes away from what it was originally. And now we're losing sight of what was once the greatest show in XTV West history, But now it's not really remembered because we think of Crack Rock. The show, we go from a beautiful show to a drug. That's truly what it became, and it was just an amazing time. And I was very blessed. And it got to the point, because you got to understand too, 90, it got to the point where I'm questioning everything. Like, why is he letting Gambling Kong in? This guy. And then it was no reason to complain, Nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna tear us apart. Yeah, I'm gonna do that shit when I get old. Oh, really? Hell yeah, Dag. I mean, and I don't mean to call you old like that. That's kind of disrespectful, sir. But I'm gonna be like that one day, Just like people gonna tell me about how I used to be when I grew up, and I'm gonna be like, fuck a beat, bitch. I'm trying to be the case. You know what I'm saying? One day. But I ain't beat that case, bitch. I did the race. I know that. Yeah. Little TK. Badass. So 2001 rolls around. You know what I'm saying? And what was happening? I mean, because, like, it's kind of a blur to go back to 01, 02 and shit and see what you was doing, Miss Joe. I just made cookies. What? That's just where I was in the game. I wasn't falling on hard times, but, the family, the problems were kicking in. And full speed ahead. And I knew this was going to happen in 01. I knew it was. It's like, even though, but because on top of that, I got blinded by success as well. You know what I mean? Everybody's watching this whole ship go, and I'm sitting there like, it's going to crash into the earth. But the experience and the fun of riding this ship is so fun, where I get lost in it. I'm like, no, keep driving. I see where you're going. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It's a rock. And we blow up. You know what I mean? And that's what it became. Our problems got way worse again. And, Pain, he was just so bad. I guess it was the drugs, because this is when he started to fight Grandpa Joe a whole lot, and that's when Joe had that issue with his lip. You guys remember he had that lip poked out until he got surgery on it finally. And we all kind of went really crazy, after a while. And we didn't really know where to go with our family, but I tried to just do things. And that's why I did the cookies thing. I said, okay, let me just do this. And I just sold cookies. And sometimes when my restaurant would have leftovers, I would be like, who wants cookies, out of nowhere, and just pass the cookies around in XTV. And people would really enjoy them, Yeah, I had one of them shits. It pissed me off. Oh, really? Yeah, Dag. It really pissed me off because you had one of them damn, trick you cookies. It's like you sitting there eating the cookie. You like, wait, what the fuck? That cause like it looked like it got a lot of chocolate chips, but it don't. Them little small shits is raisins. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and it tastes like just little shits. I'm sorry, Miss Joe. I don't mean to dish your cookies, but I don't like raisin cookies, man. I wanted chocolate chip. That's probably around the time where I tried to change it to healthy cookies because the shop next to me opened up, and with all due respect to Jewish people, they were like, "We're gonna sue your ass if you don't stop selling those cookies." So I said, "Okay, I'll just have healthy cookies." Jesus, you know what I mean? And that's what happened with that. Sorry about the raisins. Oh, it's cool, Dad. It was 2001 cookie. It probably tastes good later on. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I asked the questions. Don't tell me that. Nah, so time's moving on, you know what I'm saying? You watching Pain, you watching D-Matic. You start to slip up, Miss Joe. Oh boy, here we go. You started to just go crazy. What was it for you though, Dag? I mean, you started getting half naked. You know what I'm saying? Fighting people half naked. You was a hoe at one point. You was ratchet. I told you the whole family went crazy. That's just where it went. Shoot, D-Matic, he did F&K. Pain was on crack, and Joe was just doing anything he wanted to do, and I just said, forget it, I'm going to do what I want to do, and that's when I just did the whole prostitution thing because I was like trying to make money. The cookie thing went out of business after a while. Our sales were not good. We were veggie cookies. What veggie cookie place do you know in 2018 that's still in business that's actually good? And basically that's the story of every veggie cookie. So I did that, and I remember when I first did it, still had money left over, Donkey Kong's still the talk. And I just spent my last check on a bunch of lingerie, and I waited on a corner of Nebraska, bending over like with a shirt that said "Enter in here, Daddy," and bending over very slowly so you could see my snatch. And some people would blow their horn and then blow their load. That shit is gross. And I would have a bunch of money and I'd blow that bit. I would blow that bit. And that lasted for quite some time. Me and Dixie were at odds. And I think that's what really drove me. I think I said this too. Seeing Dixie after a while, go into that goth phase. I thought it was a phase, but it's so much. It's so much 90. I feel that, and after a while it wasn't me, and Joe was taking me to church because Joe, he went off the deep end too. He was dressing like George Clinton on Day of Reckoning. I know you guys don't remember this, XTV East, but he was dressing like George Clinton, and he was always in his drawers, and sometimes he would beat himself over the head and say, "I'm the Sandman. I'm the Sandman," and he was crazy, and he had his own demons, and me and Joe started to get it together again, and we became more of a stable, or tried to become a stable family. But it was hard, especially when Joe got sick. From what I remember, he got real sick, Yeah, he was in bad shape. There was one point, guys, where I gotta tell you, Joe was. I'm surprised he's still living. You know what I mean? Because due to the years of the abuse of drugs, his old age, and all the bad choices he was making, his heart wasn't good, and he had cancer a few times. There were so many times old Joe was supposed to die. You know what I mean? Serious, like he was supposed to die, like he was supposed to be dead. And one time, I think it lasted 2 days, he was dead, but he came back. He has the same condition I got. He probably got it from your ass, maybe. But yeah, he just always almost died a bunch of different times, and he made it through miraculously. You know what I mean? And I'm happy that he's okay though, because that was a touch and go a whole bunch of different times. Crazy. But finally, we got our life together, and we tried to have just a stable family, and there's an episode of The Dark Side, Dixie's old show, where Joe is just trying to talk to Dixie, because at this point we were trying to just like get the family back. We were like, okay, if we were going to church, and we were like, if we stay a tight unit, that's going to inspire our family to come back. You know what I mean? And we tried to stay close as we could, and we didn't really argue that much around this time. And he had went to Dixie when she was doing her dark show. He was like, Dixie, tell me what happened to you. Why are you a goth? Why are you like this? So disrespectful, and we didn't know how to handle things. And she'll just curse us out. He'll get mad. She's kicked out the house because she cursed. It was a lot of drama, man. That's wild, Dag. It's real wild. So we enter into, of course, the real world Tampa. Something that makes you a huge star, you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because, like you said, you did the Donkey Kong 2 thing, very successful. And once that whole shit was over, y'all fall on your own hard times. But this puts you back in the spotlight. This is something that's so random that it works. Random and XTV West always seems to work. Like the Cosby Show worked. Killer Digital worked. A lot of things that we kind of just didn't really think about, but we just did. They live on and stand the test of time as far as XTV West, and we can still look back on them and still laugh and smile to this day. And that's what that was, 90, that whole Real World Tampa. And when I walked in the house, because I was doing the F Virgins thing, and this started because I was just thinking of, how many people were going through it because they never had sex. How many people have shot themselves because they think they're undesirable. And sometimes people, it's not even about prostitution. It's just about people want to fuck. Yeah. People just want something, you know what I mean? And when you have movies, and this is no discredit to them. This is not saying they're the cause of people's problems, but 40-year-old virgins, they actually exist. You know what I mean? Because some people don't want to go through the hassle of guessing a girl likes you, getting friend zoned, and all these other different things that they have to deal with on the daily basis. It's a struggle to get a woman, and it's a struggle to get a good man, and it's a struggle to finally have sex. You know what I mean? Because sometimes that person, once you get in bed, you may be so much good friends with them where you're like, did that hurt? Did that hurt? Did I do it right? And that's what F Virgins was brought upon as. It was brought upon as in response to people just wanting to just have sex, really. You know what I mean? You meet up and then you have sex. You don't just meet up and have sex. It's not a prostitution ring like everybody demonizes it as. No. It's to get someone to get you something. You put your profile up, say your likes and dislikes. We put you with somebody that's compatible to you, that's compatible, and you guys meet. I mean, what if they don't like each other and have sex? Their money back. That's all it is, and you can get 15% off if you want to use our site again or use our thing again. But if you, it's okay. It's no cost to you. It's if you want it, and it's many profiles on there that you can look at yourself. If the people that we have think are compatible for you doesn't work. It's all kind of stuff, and it's for people that need people, and the original working title was "Fuck Virgins," but that's why we said F. You get the idea. So, like I said, the real world Tampa, and that's what you're doing. Yeah, and I'm looking at everybody in the house. I remember when I first walked in that building and I see James and I'm like completely damaged. I wasn't judging these guys, but when I see this white guy drinking heavily, Confederate flag tattoo, swastika, and all these other different things, I'm like, he may have had him some, but I didn't want to approach him initially. I didn't know what I was going to get into with this man. He's already been drinking. He reeks of booze and pee, and I don't want to discuss nothing with him. Brandy too. And the thing is with that virgins too, at first I just used to blurt out, "Are you a virgin?" To anybody, because it makes some people uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And they're just like, because it's like sex is so taboo, and then you have me, this old woman. It's like, what, wait, you can't just start off and I'm like, yeah, well, why not? And I'm trying to make sex talk not that secretive no more, not that hurtful, just talk to it about anybody. Like, are you a virgin? Oh, cool. Why are you shaking your head? Man, but because, Dag, it's just weird, Dag, just like, hey, man, you a virgin, homie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see how that's going to change the world. You just randomly tell a nigga, like me just playing dice, like, oh, shit, y'all niggas virgins, oh, shit, 10 on 6, nigga. You know what I'm saying? That don't make sense. 10 on 6, you never played dice. Nah, I never. But you know what I'm saying? I know, but I'm just, and I'm not saying any time, you could just go and talk about that. But like when it gets quiet and it gets to that moment, just ask someone, and I also look at it's comparable to some older lady telling me like, you want me to suck your dick? That's just what it feel like. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why you asking me, am I a virgin? You finna fuck me? And I think that's where the uncomfortableness kicks in, But that's what I mean, though. It's like, I didn't say that, I asked if you're a virgin, I didn't ask, it's the thought of where the damn conversation gonna go. You know what I'm saying? It's like, am I a virgin? Why? What you trying to do? What you asking me for? Yeah, but that's because that's the thinking, though. You think that it's going to jump into this nasty subject, and sex has people messed up, and that's what we were trying to do with that. It's like to not have it all messed up, have it, what's the word? Consensual, and that's why we did it like that. That's why we set it up like how we set it up. And I was throwing it out there because it's the conversations piece, and you'll be surprised at what people will tell you. The most attractive girls, attractive to you, attractive girls would just be like, yeah, I'm a virgin. I'm 21 years old. I'm 26 and I can't cook. You talking to me, Miss Joe? That's the plant. Look, and all these different things that they would tell me, and they would break down, and I'll be there to hug them and console them and show them the different steps that they can take going through the F virgin cycle, and we got into a lot of trouble. And it was tough though, because you had to sometimes just suck it up, because some people, like you said, like they don't like that. You know what I mean? They take it as an attack, and it's not really an attack. They just take it as, what makes you think that I'm a virgin, huh? And I never said you weren't. I asked if you were, and they take it some kind of way. And some of my people, not me, have been almost stabbed. Damn, dang. Yeah, almost stabbed, shot, because people, the topic of sex is that dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, people don't really look at it like that, but it is, because people think that you're trying to do something to their brain, tell everybody that they're a virgin on our little thing that we got going on. No, it's like it's confidential if you are or if you aren't. You know what I mean? And that's why we set you up with profiles, and then you can pick up, whatever you want, is, if none of our matches meet your desires. But that's just how it is, 90, man. It was controversial, but when I walked in the house, seeing James, I was like, okay, I don't like him. And when I seen Monster, it was just like, who is this man, And even though he was mentally ill, it's like, I fucked with him. Yeah. I fucked with Corey, and he was just so calm, like, hey, and just nice. And I had to show him a titty or two. Yeah. I'm like, you need a titty in your life. And, it just went off from there. And I started taking him to strip shows and all these different things, because he was truly a client, but I felt he was more than that. And we got it on. This is one of the most controversial angles of the Real World Tampa. You and Monster. It still gets talked about, years from now. I think this get talked about more than the Donkey Kong shit. It's controversial, and it's two polar opposites. You have me, Miss Joe, on the Donkey Kong 2 thing. You have Monster, 006 with the dogs, and CAW. We're nowhere near each other in the spectrum of what XTV was when it was doing its thing back then. But 2007 allows the Real World Tampa to happen, and allows random people to come together to meet. And look, it's me and him. Same thing can be said for Do the Right Thing with Yosi and Tavari Howard. You know what I mean? It's like, those are people that never really met like that during their heyday, and then they finally meet, you know what I'm saying, on the set, and they, they're compatible, and they're meant to be with each other, and they're inseparable. And I knew it was going to cause hurt and controversy, but I thought, and with that too, it was being aired. Joe was seeing this. He was like, what are you doing? And people couldn't believe it. But you can't base love off of public perception of what people are going to think of you for, doing your love. I didn't want to showcase me and Corey's love like that. It just got like that. People were seeing it, and they were mad at me, but I wasn't going to let their angle make me stop loving the person I truly love. He wasn't either. You know what I mean? And he still goes off. We got the Real World Tampa 2014 reunion. Not reunion, but the special where he goes in on his critics. It's stuff like that. It's like, it's not just me that loves him. He loves me. And as a result, we were together, and we have a son. You know what I mean? Is he here? Oh yeah, he's right out there. Baby. Baby for 2018. Yeah. I love it when he does that. Every time he does that, and Corey is here, Corey goes, ooh, for a long time. You have to spit on my phone though. But so y'all meet on the set, you know what I'm saying? Y'all doing y'all thing. And one of the more controversial angles that was controversial at that time and now, you know what I mean? It still holds up as probably the darkest moment of the Real World Tampa. Season 3 on season 2 is when you, Master, and a person with cerebral palsy have a threesome. That was amazing. Truly amazing. Let me just ask that question again, because you over here truly amazing. All right. You, Corey, some nigga that got cerebral palsy, having sex. It's truly amazing. You want me to say anything different? I mean, you know, it was something that helped me get over an emotional situation. Get that look off your face. He was old enough. He was 28 years old. But anyway, yeah, this is when Joe filed for a divorce. You know, this wasn't shown on camera, you know, but yeah, old Joe, Grandpa Joe, as you guys know him, he filed for divorce. And we were together since, like I said, 1981. And he said he didn't like my actions. This is when he was doing the Joe Show. And this is the point where, because at the first, you know, era of the Joe Show, it was sort of like, you know, very, you know, like old people at the craps table swearing, and you know, that whole atmosphere. That's what the early Joe shows was like. But at this point, he was getting into the Bible and things like that. And you know, you guys know how Joe is now on his Joe Show podcast. He was becoming that way then, you know what I mean, how he is now. And so like some of the evilness, he was not dealing with it no more, and not dealing with it well. So as a result, he looked at me and deemed me as evil. And you know, he filed for divorce. We got a divorce, and we spent just the majority of the time not talking for years, you know, and until of course he had me on his podcast. But yeah, that's what that was like. And you know, it did hurt my heart though. It truly did, you know, because this is a guy that we would talk for hours, and we would build, and like I said, through sickness and death, you know. And I mean, I truly felt I wasn't hurting people with what I was doing, but from my looking at what I was doing, you know, the cerebral palsy thing, and you know, even though that happened after, I could see from his eyes what that looked like, you know. But that's why I did that, you know. I was trying to cure the pain with a little sex with people who never fucked, and it's nothing like fucking a virgin, you know what I mean, especially when they finally get to how to roll their boat. Ladies and gentlemen, getting out of here a moment. I gotta sit here and look shocked for a long ass time. Well, the Real World Tampa, legendary show, gets talked about even with the East Coast at times, you know, even though they haven't seen one episode. Our description of it is very great, where, you know, even they'll talk about it every now and then. I mean, dealing with James on there again, what was that like, you know, when he was at his most racist state? I used to put the pillows over my head, because some of the stuff I was hearing out of this man's mouth was like, just, I couldn't believe it, you know what I mean? Like the way he would swear at his wife, you know, and I couldn't believe this man. Like, I used to watch GoldenEye all the time, and you know, cheer him on for killing the bad guys. I used to love this man, you know what I mean? And I was a big fan of him, and I couldn't believe that this same dude, you get caught. I couldn't believe that he was saying these things. I'm like, this is not happening. It felt like a nightmare, you know. And I was gonna wake up to the N64 era and tell James about this, but this was not the case. And even though this made him another name at this point, people don't really realize how bad he had fallen at this point. He used to have his stomach way out to here, his hair like nappy, and he used to look crazy, and he just didn't care for anything. And that's the point he reached. So I couldn't wait to get out of there with Corey, man, and yeah. And who wants to say that y'all spent most of the year fucking? Most of the rest of that. That's true. We couldn't stop, you know what I mean? And we had the baby and everything. He kind of fabricates the story a tad bit. We seen our kid. He just doesn't remember because he was too drunk sometimes when our kid was around. You know what I mean? And he used to be like, your ass gonna be a drunk just like your daddy. Or I am your daddy. Okay, you gonna be shit. I ain't gonna be shit. And, he just used to do things like that. And yeah, he was a wild one, that Corey was. And he wouldn't stop, And in 2008, he was supposed to have his own love show. And, it didn't work out. And we sort of started to have minor problems, and I wanted to get help. What problems were you noticing early on? His whole, today I'm just going to be not listening to you for no reason. That's how you get, Dad. And it would just be for no reason. It's just like, I don't feel like talking to you. I feel like just staring at the wall all day. I'm like, are you depressed, honey? No, I ain't depressed, but you making me depressed with your depressing ass questions? Shit. And he'll just stare at the wall for a long time. And, mental illness is not something I truly thought about before getting in a relationship with Corey. It was just love blinded me from the true problems that exist with this person, and they started to sort of kick in full-fledged the next year, when he would just call me a bitch out of nowhere, and I remember one night I'm just in there asleep, and he'll just wake up. He'll be like, hey, baby. I'm like, what is it? What's wrong? He'll be like, is the baby here? I'm like, no. He'll be like, bitch. Sorry, Dad. Just really loud. I'm like, why are you doing that? He said, oh, because I feel like calling you a bitch tonight. Good night. And just goes right back to sleep. You know what I mean? And it was his issues, that he was dealing with, and I didn't understand it. And that's when I went to the counselor, like he said in his Vlad interview. Yes, that's true. We tried marriage counseling, and the first guy, he was like, man, this guy has way too many problems. And Monster was like, bitch, I ain't got no problems. Your white ass got problems, and this little small ass. And he just would go off, sometimes. And is it true that he lived that one girl skirt up? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, really? I cuffed his nuts for that. Yeah. You cuffed his nuts? Yes. Yeah. He was just, this is the point where I was tired of his acting out. He was just acting stupid. And he goes in there, she's just she's an innocent young lady. Let's do Pilates, and trying to do all these different stretches to get our mind calm, our body calm, our souls calm, because I had pulled her to the side during one of our meets. And I said, look, Corey has been, he drinks heavy. All he does is drink a whole lot. He's an alcoholic. And she said, well, I can do my yoga stretches, and that sometimes cleanses the mind of, and clears out the body of leftover toxins. So let's do some stretches, tomorrow. We go there the next day, and Corey's not in the best of spirits with me. I'm trying to put my arm around him. He's like, get your arms off me, bitch. And just, I'm like, oh, Core Bear. He's like, who the hell is Core Bear? Sound like a damn fucking Illuminati puppet. We go in there and he's like, she's trying to do the stretches, and out of nowhere, he just lifts it up. And he, again, the thing he fabricated, oh, she wasn't wearing drawers. She was. It was just an extreme thong wedged up her vagina in her butt crack. Damn, you was checking her out. And she was sexy. I beg your pardon. But, you know, he just does it, and it's just so like, why did you do that? And, you know, she's like, oh, gosh. She runs out of there. You know, the counselor's out of the office. Everybody's giving us that weird look, you know, when everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. Why did this counselor lady run? And, you know, after a while we left, you know. So, damn. Lifts the counselor lady skirt up. She runs out the door. And y'all just sitting there. How long was y'all sitting there? I want to say a good 10 minutes, you know, before we finally said, maybe we should get out of here, because we sat down and Corey's sitting there. He's sitting in the chair, like right next to me, in front of me. And he has this big erection, you know, and he's just like, I'm sorry. She knew what she was doing with that little ass skirt. Oh, you know. And he starts to rub his penis, on the chair. You know, he pulls it out, rubs it on the chair. And that's when the counselor, somebody, I believe it was security, you know, probably was called to the office. He was like, let's go. And, you know, Monster he's humping the window at this point, then humping the seat. This is the chair where she was sitting. I could smell her smell, you know. Then the security guard grabs him, you know, and he was actually arrested after that. Oh, really? Yeah, he had his wiener out, you know what I mean? And he's humping the chair. And oh man, I remember the counselor coming out of there, and they were trying to get me from that scene. When it got bad 90, and I had no choice but to file for divorce. Well, was that the last call right there? The last call was... It's been so many. I mean, you know, the verbal abuse. I was just like, I don't have to deal with this. You know, it's no point. You know, if something's not working, it's not working. I was trying to look out for the benefit of you know, 123 or Kyle Jordan Jr. I was trying to look out for the benefit of him, and I realized that's good, but it's killing me. It's stressing me out. You know. And I had to sit down and talk to him, you know, like he was a baby. It was like teaching a baby divorce. That's how it was when I told him I'm getting the divorce, you know. And I said, see this? These are divorce papers, you know. And I told him I'm getting a divorce, you know, from him. And he said he understood. Threw me across the room a few times and said, I understand. And then at the end says, I like cookie cake. And walks out of the house, you know. Now, say this drove his ass to a depression, you know. Yeah, I've heard. What's your thoughts? Like I said, you know, when he met me, I feel like he was changing. That whole shy thing, all of that stuff that, you know, I introduced him to turned some of those introvertish ways off once I got to know him, you know. And when he got that divorce and marriage and seen all the things he's seen, I think all of this built the character that we know him as today. And as a result, he's a great guy. He's a great man. You know what I mean? He still has his womanish ways, but he's still him, and he understands himself. And that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say, it's something wrong with being to yourself or being by yourself. There's nothing wrong with that, but understanding yourself and who you are is all that truly matters, because people are going to guess you and say who you are. But if you let that ride you and say that's who you are, what people think in public perception, you're never living for you. You're living for other people's thoughts. So that's the level I had to reach. You know what I mean? And through divorce, through marriage, he reached it. And it was something I didn't want to do. I didn't want to have to do that at the time, but I'll be honest, I don't regret it, because he grew from it. He grew to be a better person. Half of me does regret some things that come from it, because a lot of money is spent on divorce, and it's a lot of different things going on with the courts, that I wish wasn't happening, and we had an argument last week. God damn. We just always, we had to just kind of get to the point though where we just stay away from each other, and just deal with the kid, or our son, Corey Jordan Jr. I think that's how we just kind of broke it down, because we had this long argument, and I think he just said, just worry about the kid at this point. Fuck me, I ain't shit, and fuck you, you ain't shit to me. And that's just how it was at one point, where we weren't really looking at each other and talking to each other. It was just, we watch him on the weekends, have a good day if I feel like saying it. And that finally, now we're more so understanding. We still have our little arguments, but it's not as petty as it once was. It's just like, no, you said you were going to do this. It's more debates instead of arguments. So I guess we're getting better, but I'll never marry him again. He threw you across the room and said he liked cookie cake. Now, 09 marks one of the first times you died, Miss Joe. Oh, wow. And you stayed dead for a little minute. You know what I'm saying? Even in 2011, you was dead for a while. Just tell us. Well, this is a time period where the N64 came back for a very brief time on XTV West. And finally, Donkey Kong 64, we had it. This is a game we wanted way back when it first came out, but we finally had it in 2009. And on the story of Donkey Kong 64, the Miss Joe character, she was dead. You know what I mean? And as a result of her being dead, it did shock everybody. And we had to tell the East Coast at the time. They were like, really? Yeah, she's dead, guys. And everybody was a part of it. It was Todd, it was Payne, it was D-Mac. And this was off air. This wasn't recorded. But the stuff that was going on off air was good enough that it was going to be recorded on cassette tape and seen. But it just wound up not happening. It was 09. And yeah, I was dead though, I was pretty much out of the game. Well, where did you go when you was dead, Miss Joe? I don't know. It's like when you're asleep and you wake up and you don't really remember your dream. Except when I woke up, I didn't wake up the next day. I woke up in 2012. I got some good sleep, I guess. And from what I understand is my death really caused a lot of people to go into depression. Payne, of course, did drugs again. Monster Corey, he wind up getting really huge, eating himself a whole lot. And he came out of that depression, of course. But yeah, that was pretty much what happened, And times continue to evolve. And when I came back, I was so happy to see a lot of what was making my life and my world toxic. You know what I mean? Seeing Pain on drugs like he was really driving me insane. And when I came back in 2012, he wasn't on drugs. Monster wasn't, excuse me, he wasn't super big, and he was just he was himself. He wasn't overly big, and then yeah, just this things just seem like they're in a better place, now. What you did a podcast with Grandpa Joe, 2 of them, and you back, Miss Joe. I mean, is that fair to say? And if you are back, what do you plan on doing in XTV? Just sitting back and watching, honestly, being lazy. I tried to be the commissioner back in 2013. I didn't do good, at all. People weren't feeling my decisions, and I was tackling a whole lot that year. It was a lot I was dealing with, from personal issues to just all kind of things. But now I'm at a better place, and I'm just able to say, okay, I'm not going to really get involved in anything. But if something catches my eye or something interesting happens, you never know. That's what I truly should say. You never know. But for right now, I know I don't know, and I'm just enjoying XTV. Now we don't know what happened with the F Virgins things. On the Real World Tampa documentary, you mentioned it was business stuff. What type of business shit? Just, people misunderstanding the vision for pimping. That's just what they were taking it as, even though that's what it looks like on surface. Already broke down what it truly is. You know what I mean? It's Match.com, but instead of just like meeting somebody you're compatible with, going on a date, it's meeting somebody and fucking them. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it was, And people were just like saying, when I started telling my ideas to people, some people were getting involved that didn't really need to. And I mean, was it your business? Yes, it was. But I also had people, in positions that I thought got it. And, just a lot of people started getting involved that didn't understand the vision after a while. And maybe part of it is my fault, because I was letting people in, it's based off of like, oh, you get it, so, come on in. And shoot, they were letting other guys in, and, it just all kind of crumbled after a while. And, it lasted. But, yeah. Now niggas just gonna have to live the regular life of just getting a date and, hoping that she like you and you like her and y'all can fuck good. Damn. So that's been it, I guess, man. Thank you, Miss Joe. Oh, it's no problem. This was great going down memory lane. Memory lane. This has been another one, dog. Back at you again with the bat at you again, going hitting you over the head with a real nigga podcast. We out there. Peace.